What's going on, everyone? It's Mike and John back again. John, massive shout out. Thank you for doing the match preview for me. I was under weather. I had a terrible, just cold, felt awful. On Monday, Tuesday, went to the game on Wednesday, a bit cold, a bit wet at Villa Park. It just made it worse. Thursday, I felt like death. So John stepped in, did the match preview for me on Friday. And let's be realistic, it didn't go as you discussed, to be honest. I agreed with everything you said. I agreed with your points you made about Ghana. I agreed with not bringing players out of positions like they have been. I agreed with the set-up talk about Villa, etc. He reverted back to type.
Well, he done exactly what I said he shouldn't have done. You know, he again put Ghana guy, Takore, and Onana in the middle. Moved James Garner. It worked so well in the Aston Villa game, Michael. We've seen the best of Onana by him being on his own out of them three. And we've seen the best of James Garner getting played in his right position. Why change it? And I said this in the match preview. Just basically stick with it. Mikalenko was fit. That was the only change I would have made because there was rumours he was injured. I actually would have stuck with the same formation, the same team. And I know people will say, well, we sort of had 5 at the back against Villa. I don't care. It worked. We could play 5 at the back, 3 at the back against Luton, and we should be beating Luton at home. We haven't got to win at home this season, Michael. I know you've got stats there. Sean Dyche went against everything that I thought he should do. Now, what does he get out of it? What's he seeing that everybody else is not seeing? What didn't he see? How different we were against Aston Villa in the cup, playing like we've just spoke about with Onana and Garner in the middle. Did he not see how well that worked against a good Villa team? And then this is no disrespect to Luton, but we're playing Luton at home. Don't change it, you fucking idiot. Don't change it. But he changed it, and it backfired on him. And Michael, I'm the first one to give people credit where credit's due. I did do that with Sean Dyche for the Brentford game and the Aston Villa game. But I'm telling you now, I won't give credit where it's not due. And yesterday was all on him. It was all on him from the first whistle to the last whistle. The team selection, the setup, again, which was completely wrong. Completely wrong. No credit from me today for Sean Dyche. It was on him yesterday.
Do you know the one that really stood out to me was the most pointless change out of it all? Was Ashley Young for Nathan Patterson. Nathan Patterson against Aston Villa, in my opinion, had probably one of his best games in the blue shirt. He was skillful. Agreed. He was beating players. He was crossing the ball really well. I mean, there was a couple of moments where there was skill as well. You know, like actual skill, taking a touch. He dinked it over, I think it was Dendonker's head. You know, real quality football. And he brings in Ashley Young. I didn't get it. And then on top
because he has his favourites, and I think that's pretty obvious to a lot of Everton fans now. He has his favourites, Michael, and we've seen that when he first come into the club and played Michael Keane for so long, even though he was making mistakes and we were conceding goals, he stuck with him. He's brought Ashley Young in, and he's going to stick with him because he's got his favourites.
I mean, like people said yesterday, like I was reading some of the comments, and people were saying he couldn't have used the same formation because he played 5 at the back against Villa, but he didn't. He played 3 at the back with 2 wing backs, which means against a Luton side that, no disrespect, you know, we should have had them in their own half for most of the game. And to be fair, we had the majority of possession, so there would have been, you know,
we should have the majority of the possession, Michael, at home against Luton.
We had the players that could have worked in a 3-5-2 with Patterson, and if you want to play McNeil on the left-hand side, you want to play Ashley Young on the left-hand side, it doesn't matter. I didn't understand the reason to change that, and I thought Patterson for Young, I thought that was just a pathetic decision. Another thing I want to mention, I think it's really important. Firstly, massive thank you to everyone that watched my match reaction. We've never had so many views on the channel. It's blown me away. I don't quite understand what's happened, if I'm being completely honest.
To be honest, I think something's gone wrong. To be fair,
Yeah,
I don't think.
I have no idea. I have no idea, but it's a massive
51,000.
thank you. Yeah, it's a massive thank you. I've had comments from other channels saying, Mike, obviously you smashed it. It was very passionate, and it seems to have triggered some Luton fans because some are throwing personal abuse on Twitter, which, you know, it's a shame really, because I was rooting for Luton to do really well when they come up in terms of, you know, enjoy the Premier League. I didn't think they'd do great in the Premier League. Blah 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 blah. You play them. And they get their first. By the way, their fans in the stadium yesterday were great, singing, all that good stuff. And yet you get personal abuse for saying you expected to beat them, you know. And people were saying, "Yeah, but you said 6-1." I did expect to smash Luton. No disrespect, Luton fans. I expected you to get an absolute heart handing to you yesterday because we'd gone away at Brentford, we'd gone and beat Villa. I was expecting you to get absolutely smashed. Credit you didn't, but there's no need to make it personal. So that's it now. That's it. I'm done with Luton fans. Next time when we play Luton away, I hope we absolutely nail you like 5-0. And I'm not.
But the thing is, do you know? It's funny because they're throwing abuse at you because you said it was going to be 6-1. How many Luton fans actually expected Luton to get something from Goodison yesterday? Do you know what I mean? Probably none of them. You know, and
they just lost to Exeter in the cup, John.
I know. It's just keyboards warriors, and I've learned to live with it because I used to get a lot of abuse, and unfortunately,
I would have absolutely not bothered saying anything like. But this one Luton fan said, like, his comment on Twitter was just pathetic. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to retweet it, and then I'll let some Everton fans let them know what they think of it. I ain't bothered.
It's personal, isn't it? I mean, I got threatened for me to get my head smashed in yesterday by an Everton fan. So
you see, it's delightful.
In the ground.
All for giving an opinion. It's great. I love football. I absolutely love it. We did batter Luton. Statistically, we battered Luton. I'll run some of the stats by you, John. 68% possession, 23 shots. But this is where it goes downhill. 5 on target and only 3 corners, and that compares to 2 shots on target from Luton, but from only 9 shots and 6 corners. And we didn't handle Luton's corners very well at all yesterday. I made this point. I don't know if you agree with it, but people were saying about, you know, we've made lots of chances in games. Look, our XG is very high. You know, we were expecting.
Sean Dyche mentioned that. But people need to look at the XG because they can see that's been good since the start of the season. I'm not asked if the XG is good or not. We need points on the board.
Yeah, my point
talks absolute rubbish.
My point is to it is your XG can be fine, but yesterday, in terms of created chances, we might have created lots of chances. We might have had lots of shots, but they're half chances. He's not setting the team up to cut a team open. Like the 2 goals we scored against Villa, right? The first goal was a defensive error from Villa, not clearing the lines. And Nana picks the ball up and he makes a defence cutting pass with James Garner running onto it, who takes a touch and scores a lovely goal. They're in the positions to do that. You know, when Nana's pressed forward, Garner's in the middle of the pitch, which allows him to be forward, not on the right-hand side. You know, the second goal is a mistake by Tillemans, passes a short ball. Calvert-Lewin is in the right space to get in behind the centre-half, the midfield and the full-back. He beats him and goes. The way he set the team up yesterday, you can't allow that quality. And who was the one that ended the ball would come to on the end of the box time and time again because of the players in the position? Larissa Garner-Gath.
I know, yeah. Shocking, isn't it? Shocking.
All you need is to play Garner, James Garner, in the middle there. And you're going to either get more attempts on target or more composure in the final third, because Garner's a great ball winner. We know that. You know, I think he's second in the Premier League for winning the ball back. But he's awful at playing a forward pass. He's awful at looking at that distribution and attacking third.
Yeah.
So why set up like that? I don't get it, John. He rattled me yesterday, Dyche. I said it in my match reaction. I've said it on Twitter. I'll say it to you. I'll say it to anyone that hasn't watched. I'm done with him. I'm done. I don't know who sacks him, but I'm done with him.
Well, do you know what it is, Michael? Just stick to something that works. We seen it the other night against Villa. Just stick with it. If it works and it's not broke, why mess with it? You know, that I know it was squeaky bum time near the end with Aston Villa, but listen, they were the home team. They're a good team. They're always going to have a spell in the game. But why mess with something that's not broke? You know, and as you said before, it was 3 at the back and the 2 attacking fullbacks. That setup yesterday, if he would have stuck with the same setup yesterday, what we had against Aston Villa, we win that game. We win that game. And now we've got Bournemouth next week, which I'm not being funny. Bournemouth's going to be a harder game than what Luton should have been. And our home form, Michael, you'd like to think we should beat Bournemouth. But I'm not even confident going into that. I was so confident going into that game yesterday, and I said it on the match preview. I'm looking forward to going to Goodison. After the last 2 performances away from home, we should really, really put Luton to the sword. And now, look, we've got Bournemouth at home next week. I'm nervous again. Again because Bournemouth won't be any pushovers, Michael, especially with our home form. Confidence. When was the last time we actually thought to ourselves and turned around and said, our away form's better than our home form? Our away form used to be our Achilles heel. Now look at the away form this season, Michael, compared to the home form. Is it the fans getting on the back? Are the players nervous? Are they playing with a bit more freedom away from home? I don't know. But him setting up the team the way he sets it up is not helping him, the team, or the fans. It's not helping anyone. Just fucking stick to what works.
I mean, the thing that I mean, you're spot on. The thing that got me yesterday is it was an opportunity. It was an opportunity to create a gap between Sheffield United, Burnley, and Bournemouth. It was an opportunity because, you know, I know this sounds silly, but as an Everton fan, I am looking over my shoulder at the 3 worst teams in the league. I am, and I am actually this season, other than last season, I don't think we are in the 3 worst. And I've said who I think the 3 worst is, and this is no disrespect to any of them, but I think Sheffield United, I think Burnley, and I think Luton. I think they are the 3 worst teams in the league. I think they are worse than Everton. And then I think
Sheffield United and Luton have took points off us at home.
Well, and this is what I don't get. You know, we go to Sheffield United, we should win the game. We should have beat Luton. But the fact of the matter is...
Sorry, Sheffield United haven't took points off us at all, maybe. Sorry.
Not yet. Because what happens is every team that is newly promoted managed to come and beat Everton at Goodison. And this has happened for years. Me and you have been there. We've sat there and watched Sheffield United come to Goodison and beat us. We've watched Norwich beat us twice. We've watched Southampton last season beat us. We've now watched Luton come into the Premier League and beat us. I'm fed up of being beaten by these teams who come into the Premier League struggling, and they come and turn Everton over, who were meant to be a established Premier League team, one of only, I don't know, 6 or 7 to not get relegated. It's a joke, John. It's a joke. It's hard to reason.
I can't really remember it now. I seen it today while I was out about Everton's home form.
7 in 8. That's the answer. We've lost 7 in 8.
I think we've scored. Is it 1 goal or something, or something like that?
We've scored no more than 2 goals in the game since October, and I think we've scored 1 goal in the last. It's something like 2 goals in the last 7 games.
See, that's relegation form, Michael, and it's all right sitting here saying, well, the away form's better. But if we carry on with this home form, it's going to rub off on the away form, Michael, and we can't afford to. Look at the points that we could have had at Goodison this season. Look at the teams we've played at Goodison this season, Michael, and they're bankers for us. They should be bankers for us. And it pisses me off because his setup at home, do you know when you look at it, his setup yesterday at home against Luton was probably more defensive than the Brentford and the Villa game.
Yeah, it was.
It just doesn't make, and I don't understand that. I just don't understand that. And I know I keep going on and on and on about the Villa performance, but it worked, and it worked well. Why change it? You know, and why change it to go with them three in the middle again and go more defensive at home against Luton when you've put a performance in like that against Aston Villa, with James Garner in the middle playing with Onana? It's pretty obvious, and I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face, on this channel. Until he stops playing Onana, Doucouré and Garner guy in the middle, this is going to carry on happening, because it's plain to see, and I've said it to you on the phone, Michael, I've said it on here, they cannot play together. They can't. Because he's playing them three together means James Garner's playing out of position. I'm not being funny, Michael. It's not rocket science, is it, to see that it plainly does not work with them three in the middle?
Choosing. The thing that gets me, you're right, he's choosing to put square pegs in round holes. It's not like it's a necessity. We've got no other players. He's choosing to. And the two that disappointed me yesterday, if I'm being honest, was McNeil. I didn't think McNeil had a good game at all yesterday. I was really disappointed with him. And I didn't think Doucouré was particularly good either.
Well, no, and he's another one. He's not very good in the three. And Garner guy's not good in that three, Michael. Not just Onana can't play with the other two, or Doucouré can't play with Garner guy and Onana. It doesn't work. So you're not going to see when you answer me a question. Every time we've seen them three players play together, how many performances have you seen from any of them individuals that have put a good display in? None.
You can argue there was a couple last season from Doucouré, but that is it.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, though, you're saying it's a couple, but it's not consistent week in, week out to warrant playing them three players together.
Correct. And the other thing as well, the other thing I want to mention is when you put them three in the middle, you fundamentally you reduce the creativity, because James Garner's on the right hand side. If you put a winger on the right hand side, you put James Garner in the middle and you drop one of them, there's more forward passes because you've got an actual winger and you've got an actual centre midfielder who will turn and pass the ball forward. I was really, honestly, I was shocked. I made a tweet. I come out and said 6-1, and then I retweeted my own tweet and said I've just seen the team 2-0 Everton. I mean, I still thought we'd win, but I could not believe it. I want to touch on Luton. I do want to touch on Luton because there will be Luton fans watching this, and they'll be like, it's not all about Everton, albeit it's an Everton channel, so we can talk about them as much as we like. I was really impressed with that Carlton Morris yesterday. Their foot centre forward. I thought he's a good player. To be fair to him, he's a good player, proper.
They scored good goals, Michael, Luton, and and obviously from where I sit, I'm close to the pitch, and you can see how hard they were working against our wingers and our fullbacks and closing down, and they didn't stop running, Michael. Luton come to Goodison yesterday with a game plan, right? And it worked a treat. It didn't help with the game plan that Everton had, not taking nothing away from Luton. Luton played very, very well yesterday, and I know we had all the possession and what have you, but that makes no difference. Luton played very, very well, to the point where I was surprised how well they played, because I didn't expect that. Again, no disrespect to Luton. So, as Michael's just said, it is an Everton channel, but we will give credit where it's due. And I thought Luton put a good performance in yesterday.
Yeah, and one other thing I want to mention, Calvert-Lewin scores again, right place, right time. I've got to be honest, I've not been disappointed by Lewin at all. I actually think he seems a different player. He scored 3 goals in 5 games. He scored a goal every 84 minutes. So that's one a game in terms of the actual minutes on the pitch, because obviously he's played 5, but he's only played 60 minutes in some of them because he was injured, etc. So are you happy to have him back based on the fact that we signed number one striker in Beto.
Yeah, and from what I've seen from Beto, and again, I know he's new to the league and what have you, he's still trying to fit in. But for me, Calvert-Lewin's the number one striker still because of the way he's done since he come back from an injury. And I said before, I will give credit when it's due, but I'll also have a pop when it's not due, i.e. DYCHE. I think DYCHE handled Lewin's comeback very, very well. He didn't rush him back, you know, and he gave him longer and longer and longer. And it looks like Lewin was managed well after his previous injury to come back, to put the performances that he has put in. But yeah, for me, Lewin's the number one striker. As you said, he's been there at the right place at the right time. He's working hard. He looks fitter. You know, he's getting around the pitch easier. So whatever DYCHE done to bring him back, credit where credit's due. He worked well with him there. For me, we spoke about Beto, Michael. Not having a pop at him, I think he's a long, long way away from being the player we all expected he was going to be.
Yeah, and you know, me and you, I mean, people have sometimes had a pop at us really for writing players off too soon. I don't think either of us are writing off Beto. We've spoken about his physicality. He's got it. Footwork at times he's got it. At other times it's not great.
Looks a bit clumsy.
Yeah, his first touch could do with a bit of improvement. He had 3 chances yesterday against Luton, and he should have scored at least one of them. There was a header. He should score. He absolutely should score. So I'm not writing him off. I think he will come good.
There's a player in there.
It was interesting seeing the two of them play up front together yesterday, and I'm going to mention the reason why. It's not their fault. But they clearly haven't even done that in training, because they were both standing next to each other on the pitch. They were both heading each other's balls. Well, yeah, kind of. It's none of this, like, you know, fruity stuff. They were both heading each other's like balls that were going in the air. And when you've got two strikers that are as physical and as strong and as tall as those two, you'd think you would practice using them together more, and he clearly hasn't. He clearly has not used them on the training pitch.
Even if he's not going to start them together, Michael, there might be times in the season where he ends up playing two up front, two of them together up front, like he did yesterday. So do a bit of training with them together at Finch Farm. Play a few games with them, obviously, you know, in training matches or whatever. Yeah, play them together just so they can get used to each other's movements and where each one should be. Just practice it, because as I say, there might be times where they have to play up front like they did yesterday together. Don't just throw them in, as you say, and it looks like they've never trained together and worked on that formation. Do you know what I mean?
It was mad. It was mad. It was disappointing. Last thing from me, because, I mean, you know, unless you want to throw anything out at me after, but last thing from me. For the Bournemouth game, what do you change?
Go back to the Villa form, tactics, team. All right, maybe not play the three and the two pushing up. I'm not asked what formation he has at the back. Not asked who he plays up front, Michael. Do not play them three in the middle together. Bring James Garner into the centre where we know his preferred position is. And don't play them. Take one of them out or take two of them out and put Garner. Whatever. Just don't play Garner, Anana and Decore together, because it does not work, Sean Dyche. It does not work.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you now, when that team sheet comes out next week, I'm not saying we'll get beat because of it, but not one of them three players will put a good performance in my opinion. I can see it now because it doesn't work.
Yeah, I'll tell you my team already would be Pickford in goal, Mikalenko at left back. I actually think he's been all right, actually, since he's come back into the team. He's been fairly solid. I do go with the three centre-halves because I played Mikalenko as pushed up as well. So we'll go with... So we'll go with the three centre-halves. I'll go with the midfield two, Anana and Garner. And then I'll play Dan Juma. I'll play Jack Harrison. And I'll play Calvert-Lewin. That's my team.
Agreed.
And I think that team, and again,
beats Bournemouth.
But it
beats Luton.
Would it be Luton?
I know, but you know, Mr. fucking know-it-all, sorry for swearing, Mr. Know-it-all changes it round again because he can't settle on any sort of team, and I don't know what he's seen from that Villa game to tell him to change that yesterday. I really, really don't get it. I don't get it. When that team come out, I was shocked to see them, Garner, Decore, and Anana in the middle. And I know I keep going on about it, but it's pissing me off because it's clear for me, you, all Everton fans out there, it's not working.
As soon as the team come out yesterday, I rolled my eyes and was just like, I couldn't believe it. I had that sinking feeling the moment he did it. Now, there was 3 people in attendance yesterday from 777 partners.
Josh, I seen Josh one day. Picture.
What? I mean, I've read a really interesting article from the Esk today. Some people say he's negative, and I get it. Like, you know, I'm not going to sit here saying he's the most happy chappy Everton fan you can get. I'm not, but he does talk financial sense. You know, he understands things more than, you know, me, Joe Blogs, normal. You know, he gets it. And he basically come out following this chat with Don, whatever his name is. I think he's the CEO of the sports division. And he basically come out and said that he doesn't think 777 have got the financial capacity, the moral capacity, or the he said a few things, but that basically they cannot support Everton, in his opinion. We are too big for their financial capacity. They watched that game yesterday. If they can't afford to change things, what happens to us?
Well, from what you hear, Michael, the first thing that happens when a club's getting bought, or the majority shareholders getting bought, one of the first things to do is you have to show proof of funds. Now, for it to be this far along, I think it's pretty obvious that they've shown proof of funds. Yeah. What worries me is they've shown proof of funds to get the club. That doesn't mean that they're going to use them funds or spend them funds on us, does it? You know what I mean? So it's all up in the air. It's all up in the air, as we were talking before we come on here, Michael. If Sean Dyche carries on like this, who sacks him? Who sacks him? Is it Machiri? Because he's not asked. Do 777 get a say in it, even though the contracts aren't signed and they haven't officially took over? I don't think they do. So we've just got to put up with this until we know where the club stand, Michael. But I think isn't it something like £10 million to sack Dyche and his staff or something like that? So Dyche is getting a free ride at the minute because who's actually running the club? Bill Kenwright's not a well man. He's just had another operation. So he's not involved in the day-to-day running of the club at the minute. How much say is 777 getting? And how much interest is Machiri showing in the club, Michael? So Dyche is getting a free ride at the minute. He knows his job's safe because we don't look and sack him. You know, and I don't want to go on about sacking Sean Dyche. As Michael said, he's done with them. We spoke today. I'm done with him because it pisses me off when he keeps changing things, and the home form's pissing me off. It's not good enough. It's relegation form, that. So I'm not going to sit here and say sack him, because I'm pissed off saying it with the amount of managers that we have to sack. But something's got to give soon, and we need to know, and we need some clarity of who's in charge of this football club.
I think you've nailed it. I think you've absolutely nailed it. Yeah, I mean, it speaks volumes. It does. It speaks volumes. It speaks volumes that, and the issue you have is 777 potentially will have to roll the dice, because at this moment in time, you would probably say that Everton still don't get relegated because of the 4 teams below them. You probably don't. You probably say Everton will find a way of staying up. But if it gets to the point where we start dropping into that bottom three and we're there on a little period of time, you know, like it's happened the last 2-3 years, they have to pull the plug on DYCHE. They're going to have to fund it, even if they don't own the club at that point. And the reason is because they'll be buying. We're already a sinking ship, but they'll be buying a sunk ship. They'll be buying a team that will not be worth the investment that they're spending on it. It's like buying a house for 200 grand, but then the area's going to complete shit and your house is only worth 130 after. That's exactly the equivalent. So there's no way they can let this go on for ages and ages and ages, because they can't afford to if they're going to buy an established Premier League team. And Everton, being realistic, Everton are not established.
Have they got the authority to sack him?
I think they'll have to loan the money to Mashira.
If they've got it. I don't know. I just think, to be honest, Michael, I'm not even asked what goes on upstairs anymore, who's buying the club and who's, you know, this 7-7, not bothered anymore, because the team on the pitch and the manager is doing my head in that much. I'm forgetting about what's going on upstairs. And listen, people will probably drop into the comments, oh, you love DYCHE after the last 2 games, the Brentford and the Villa game, and you were blowing smoke up his ass. As I said before, I'll give credit when it's due. But you know, when it's a shit show like he was yesterday, he doesn't deserve any credit off me or anybody else, because that was on him yesterday.
Well, from Sean Dyche's last 25 games, he has achieved 0.88 points. Which
relegation now.
In perspective, Mike Walker was on 0.87 after 31. Frank Lampard was on 0.92 after 38. And Rafa Benitez was on 1 after 19. So at this moment in time, Sean Dyche is 0.01 away from being Everton's worst manager in history.
But he's not doing nothing to stop that slump at home, is he, Michael? He's not helping himself. Is he? He's not helping himself. So while this slump carries on at home, and while he carries on messing with the team and playing them together in the midfield, then that 0 point whatever it was, it's not going to go any higher. So eventually he will be the worst manager in Everton's history if he carries on this form at home.
There you go.
Right, folks.
Hope you've enjoyed that, guys. You know, cheery video as always.
But what? How can we give a cheery video? Cheery videos are from when you put performances in against like Brentford. Cheery videos are when you put performances in against Aston Villa like we did. There's nothing cheery about that shit show yesterday, Michael. So it's not going to be a cheery video. I find it remarkable. I've literally just watched the Everton goal back, the Luton first goal back, with the ball into the box, bounces off the bar, Pickford's fucking all over the shop. Ashley Young takes a touch on the goal line instead of just volleying it. You know, when you sit there and you just think, you can't defend. Like, you can't. I'm watching it. It's there. It's literally there. But how many times have I said, Michael, Sean Dyche, when he was at Burnley, had to have a solid defence and defenders who knew what they were doing, who weren't scared to put their head in, who knew where they should be, not letting stupid goals in. That's how he kept Burnley up for as many times as he did. He hasn't brought that to this defence. He hasn't brought that to Goodison Park. Because how many goals have we conceded? And it's been an absolute shit show this season, whether the balls have gone over their head, whether it was the goal like yesterday, whether it's losing their man. You know, how many stupid goals have we conceded? We haven't conceded many unlucky goals where you could go, took a bad bounce there off the defender. We were unlucky there. The majority of them have been goals that could have been stopped.
Yeah, relatively straightforward, yeah.
So, right, I'm going to get my tea.
Right, okay. Well, guys, massive thank you for yesterday again. If it's right, it's right. If it's not, then it's not. But
it was good while it lasted.
at the minute, while I feel like everyone gives a shit what I say, which is shocking, really. Thank you. John, we'll see you for the preview next Thursday-ish.
Yeah. If anything happens before then, we will be on. But next plan one is the preview, isn't it? And then we're at the match together on Saturday, so we'll try and get a bit of a match reaction in at some point from the ground, and then obviously you'll have your debrief show back next Sunday.
Yeah, guys. Right, until next week, then we'll see you soon. Have a lovely Monday. Peace.
Cheers, folks.